Alrighty, welcome back, folks. Getting ready for the Fuels game day here. Today they're taking on the Wheeling Nailers at home. I'm going to give a quick little rundown, little preview of that game coming up tonight, how I feel about it, just kind of feel the numbers behind the game, and then how I feel about the Fuels' chances for this upcoming weekend. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump right into things. The season matchup so far between the Fuel and the Nailers. The Fuel are 4-2 so far against Wheeling this year, including 3-1 at home. They finished 1-1 in West Virginia this year. The Fuel scoring 4 goals a game against the Nailers, giving up 2.83. At home, they're scoring 4 goals a game, giving up 2.5. The Fuel have already clinched the season series at home. They have a 3-1 record with this last game. Tonight's game being the last game of the year between the two teams. The most recent matchup happened on Friday, March the 3rd, when the Fuel beat Wheeling 3-2. So with that being said, we'll jump into what their records are as well overall right now. The Fuel come into this game 38, 22, 4 and 0 with a 17, 11 and 3 record at home. So those 31 games with 37 points. That's the second most points at home by any team, with only Cincinnati having more. Cincinnati has a 27, 3 and 2 record at home so far this year. And then Wheeling comes into this game with a 26, 33, 5 and 0 record. Wheeling on the road so far this year at 13, 16 and 1. Those 27 points for the Nailers on the road are the third fewest within the division on the road. Only Kalamazoo and Iowa are worse on the road this year. So with that being said, just kind of what I'm looking for with this game coming up. Um, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Just because, again, the Fuel struggled against Kalamazoo last weekend, losing in overtime on Saturday before coming back and beating the Wings on Sunday. Um, I liked what Duncan Dalmayo said about they're not really focused on the stats side of things, and I believe him. I'm going to go ahead and link that interview down below as well. He had a nice interview earlier today before the game tonight. Um, I like the fact. I still like the fact that he's making some moves. I think Tyler Coburn is a really good player. I kind of like the fact that they moved on from him, though. I like the fact that they're going with a little bit younger of a roster right now, bringing back Finn Evans. Darby Llewellyn has been around, but Ross McDougal giving him a look, seeing what he has on the blue line, and then Matusz Spodniak bringing him in. Um, I think Maximovich played really well over the weekend as well. Unfortunately, Matt Watson did go on reserve, but I have heard a rumor that Kirill Chaika will be returning tonight, so that'll be a nice presence back there as well. So it'll just be kind of interesting to see who gets the nod where. But I'm very honestly intrigued because obviously Wheeling has absolutely nothing to play for. Mathematically, they still do, but in terms of realistically, they're done. They still have 8 games left on their schedule, but if they lose, if the Fuel are able to win tonight, I know that Fort Wayne also plays tonight at home. Or excuse me, they're on the road. They're in Kalamazoo. So Fort Wayne gets a point at all. And then if Wheeling loses, if the Fuel beat them, then that would end the season for the Nailers in terms of being able to make the playoffs. So Fort Wayne can clinch a playoff berth tonight. Um, Idaho can also clinch the Brabham Cup, which again is the regular season points championship tonight if they get a win and Cincinnati loses in regulation. So with all of that being said, again, I'm really looking for um, what happens with the Fuel goaltending situation as well. Zach Driscoll did not have a good game last Saturday against Kalamazoo. He did lose in overtime. I thought he played well against Greenville, even though the Fuel lost. I think or thought Cam Gray played incredibly well, and I think that he's got a little bit of a chance. But Driscoll's definitely your breadwinner, and he's going to be the one that carries this team. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if he plays in all 3 games over the weekend, considering they have that later start on Sunday at 5 o'clock. Yeah, the travel is a little bit rough. They're going to be playing tomorrow in Toledo, but I think that I really want to see Driscoll in at least 2, if not all 3 games. But again, you don't want to risk injury with only 8 games left on your slate. Um, so with that being said, like I said, I'm looking for a lot of things. I'm looking to see really just what does this team bring. Does this team recognize, yeah, we're in the playoffs, but I really think you need to be playing your best hockey at the end of the season, regardless of, okay, you're pretty much, almost hammered into that third spot right now. You're very, very close to clinching that third spot this weekend. So they have a very, very good chance of being able to clamp that one down to cement that, because next week you only have 2 games next week. You only have Iowa on Saturday and then Cincinnati on Sunday. So that's another thing to look at, is that you have that lighter schedule coming up before you end the season, the regular season, excuse me, with that 3-3 of home against Fort Wayne, at Kalamazoo, which is a little bit rough. But you really want this team to be playing their best hockey over these last 8 games. That's something that I'm anxious to see what's going to happen with that. I'm anxious to see whether or not they can play their best hockey at the end of the season. Um, I know that Cincinnati and Toledo has cooled off just very, very slightly. So maybe you can go up tomorrow and sneak one from the walleye there. But Cincinnati is still playing their best hockey. Maybe come the postseason, they're going to get bit when they just hit a wall, because it is a long season and the end of the tunnel is almost there, but then there's just a short little break before those playoffs start. And especially with the Fuel having to start the playoffs on the road, it's just a matter of whether or not that's going to be Cincinnati or Toledo that they are on the road against. Again, right now it's looking like that's going to be Toledo. Um, but that's just what I'm the most intrigued about tonight for this upcoming game, is can the Fuel stay focused? Can they take what's theirs, honestly? They've done really well all time at home against Wheeling as well. Their all-time record at home against the Nailers is 28-3 in those 31 games. Um, so a very, very good record all-time, um, at home against Wheeling. So hopefully they can get that 21st victory and get that winning percentage pushed past 700. So that's what I'm looking for tonight. As usual, please let me know what you thought about this video in the comments down below. Leave me a like, and as always, be sure to subscribe. And we'll see you folks tomorrow. We're going to have a short little video recapping what happened. So take care, and let's go Fuel.